Please take a seat. Good afternoon, and welcome to Oldham Council. Before we start the meeting, could I ask all present to please treat everyone in the chamber with respect. I now call on Reverend Jean Hurston for a reflection.
Annual general meetings are occasions to look back, to review the recent past, and also to look ahead to the future. I consider my own memories of delivering prayers and reflections in this chamber, as today I retire as Borough Dean for Oldham after nearly 7 years. The honorary role is about being the Bishop of Manchester's representative within the civic, statutory and community sectors, and I thank you all for warmly welcoming a Scouser into your space. During this time, I've also been chaplain to Mayors Harrison and Gary. It's been an honour and a privilege to have served here, and I leave with fond memories. I have met the most incredible, hard-working councillors who devote themselves to public service, not only working in meetings, but out there in the streets of Oldham. I have seen you in action, not simply as speech makers, but as true grafters, litter picking, community activists, getting stuck in alongside local causes and striving for justice for individuals. I've not only liaised with members, but also with officers whose work impacts on the people of Oldham to help transform lives and livelihoods. They're fine examples of public servants. I've also witnessed in this chamber residents who have been made freemen of the borough, people who have gone above and beyond, who put Oldham firmly on the map for great things and continue to be an inspiration to us all. My final words are in tribute to the Mayoress, Afshin Chauhan, who died during her year of office, aged just 45. Born in Oldham, raised in Oldham, died in Oldham, buried in Oldham. Afshin was looking forward to supporting her husband Zahid when he became the mayor. She saw the role as her special way to serve people of Oldham and to meet as many as she could. She was passionate about charitable work and was right behind the Truly Wished campaign. She had always supported her husband in his work, and I recall the time that he came to Oldham Parish Church to do health checks for rough sleepers at night, vaccinating them against the flu, and then later at Street Angels with homeless people, vaccinating them against COVID-19, for which initially he was derided, only later to be held in high regard for this particular work by NHS England. Afshin was a pillar to Zahid through all of that and more. And then she suddenly became very ill last summer. Zahid talked to Afshin about potentially stepping down from his role as mayor. And this is what she said: "If you are a true public servant, you cannot walk away from public service, even if your wife is dying." She spoke these words from her hospital bed, unable to lift her head. She had broken hips, a broken backbone, but a selfless and courageous mindset. Within just a couple of weeks, the lives of the Shohans and the wider Oldham family changed forever. Our mayoress, Afshin Shohan, died on the 27th of March, 2024. One positive in all of this tragedy has been to witness the care and compassion shown to the mayor by people within and beyond this chamber, from all political persuasions. Our mayor thanks you for the numerous messages of condolences and flowers that he received from people across all parties, all beliefs, and all backgrounds. And this is how I will remember Oldham, that in times of trouble, differences can be set aside, and it's about simply being there for one another and seeking the common good, as was evidenced during those pandemic years. Today would have been a very special day for Afshin here in the chamber, so let us just have a moment of silence as we remember our mayoress of Oldham. May God give to her eternal rest, and God bless all who serve in this borough as members and as officers during this next municipal year. Amen.
Thank you very much, Shane. I would also like to say thank you to residents of Oldham, irrespective of political beliefs, and all political parties in this chamber and outside for supporting me, my family, during Mayor's sudden illness, and your ongoing support. You've shown true compassion, humanity, your thoughts, your messages of support, cards, flowers, emails, phone calls, and personal visits meant a lot to me. But your actions also helped me to instill hope that irrespective of differences, we in this town can come together and support each other. I think it will be fair to say the people who really disliked me even actually came to me and supported me during this time. And I'm thankful, I'm genuinely thankful for all that. But no, I'm begging you for something else. You've shown that you can come together. No, but I'm begging you to come together and support the residents of Oldham. It is difficult for me to say, and I always believed and I always said, I will be fair and I will try my best to be a political mayor. But we have a town who needs your help. We have 7 wards out of 20 who are below poverty or deprived wards. They are in the top 10% of deprived wards in the country. You have women of Oldham who are dying 3 years earlier than average of UK. We have second highest infant mortality in the UK. Help those 4 in 10 children who are finishing primary school as obese kids. Help those who received 12,000 food packages only from one food bank, and I'm mindful there are more than one food bank in Oldham. And help over 9% youth who are unemployed, and which is much higher than the country. Help 44% of children in Oldham who are living below poverty. And also help the CSE sufferers who suffered, carry on suffering. They need to be listened. They deserve justice. And most importantly, also making sure that no child and no vulnerable adults today is suffering in Oldham. And you can do all that. You can do all that when you start discussing policies, when you start having a transparent way of conducting businesses in this town. And when you come together for the common cause, when you remove the personalization from your debates and come to working towards the residents of Oldham. And that's why you've been given the mandate, irrespective which party you come from. You are independent, you are liberal, you are conservative, whatever group you are, your mandate should be respected. And if I am elected mayor, I will make sure that your mandate is respected. And you've been given opportunity to serve, and your view is being heard. So I urge you again, please come together to support the residents. I could not give you any more numbers than what I've given you. You came together during my difficult time, all of you. I could not find a single person in this town who actually did not support me. You can come together for all these people. They are dying too. They're dying with a slow poison. So I'm urging you to come together for those people. I also would like to say thank you to all the councillors who did not return for their services. People come here to do a job, and I'm extremely thankful on the behalf of all of you to those councillors, and also welcome to all the new councillors. As I said, irrespective of your political affiliations, you got mandate, and that mandate should be respected. Thank you. Can I also say massive thank you to Jean before you go. Jean, who was, not that you need to know the history of Jean, probably everyone knows history of Jean, who originally from Birkenhead made Oldham Ashton home, and Oldham the real home, because you've done loads of work here, was a teacher by profession, employed as a chaplain in various organizations, and no one will argue that Jean is very passionate about community service. I think it will be fair to say she made Oldham Parish Church a true community place for everyone in Oldham. And I proudly say that. I remember her spending 12 o'clock night and 1 o'clock in the morning in church with me, trying to feed homeless people, trying to get them vaccination, trying to get them dressing. She founded Street Angels in 2011 and going strength to strength, supporting homeless people. And personally, we were discussing earlier, I don't know, it was 15 years ago or something, when someone told me, there is a lady called Jean, she's very passionate about homeless people, you should meet her. And we met in a clinic, and we thought, let's do this, we can do this. And she helped me throughout and throughout. She's the first woman to be awarded the Borough Dean of Oldham 2018, which is a great example for our next generation. And everyone knows the work she's done by promoting the work between the Church of England and civic officers in the borough. She says she's retiring back to Thameside. I don't believe it for a single second that she will ever retire. But thank you for everything you have done, the residents of Oldham. And I'm confident we will see you again, so I'm not saying goodbye to you. May I remind members and members of the public that meeting will be streamed live on a webcast from the council. The council has a commitment to conduct its full council business in an environment that is welcoming, secure, and safe for members, employees, and visitors. It is important that meetings are conducted in a safe and fair manner. All persons present at meetings should be treated with courtesy and respect. This includes members of public, elected members, employees, and visitors. Behaviors, languages, or actions that impact public safety, cause disruption, or adjournment to the course of business at meeting are not acceptable. Members of the public are therefore asked to note the public meeting protocol, which is also available on the council's website, and elected members are reminded to note that elected members protocol and of the members' code of conduct, which provides details of expected principles of behavior. May I also remind the public and members that I'm very keen to have a full democratic debate in this chamber today. So if anyone wishes to leave at any stage, please feel free to leave. The meeting will last as long as it needs to be last. Apologies for absence. I have not received any apologies for absence. Thank you. Item 2, to elect the mayor for 2024-25 municipal year. Nomination. Please may I have the nomination for the office of the mayor of Oldham Metropolitan Borough for the municipal year 2024-25. Councillor Hobbin to move, and Councillor Shah will second, and Councillor Sheldon will support. Councillor Hobbin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm over here this time.
It's like musical chairs.
It is like musical chairs. I'm going to keep this short. Yes, I nominate Councillor Chauhan to be our mayor for the next 12 months. I've come to know Zahid over the last few years, and I'm delighted to class him as a true friend. Even though we're on opposite sides of the political scene, he's always been dignified, professional and humble. Many of the traits that shone through in this last year with the support for and tragically the loss of his lovely wife. And I didn't mean to bring it up again, but in the madness of local politics, he's been a calm and reassuring figure, and I can think of nobody more deserving of the chance to serve as our mayor and have a real term again. And I do know that he will be a mayor for everybody. So it's an honour for me to move this motion and propose him to be elected as the mayor of Oldham Metropolitan Borough for 2024-25. And I ask each councillor present here to support not just his election as mayor, but to make sure you support him throughout the rest of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hobbin. Councillor Shah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It gives me great pleasure to second your nomination to be our borough's first citizen for a second municipal year. The circumstances of this unusual situation are obviously tragic, and I want to just pay tribute to Afshin for all the support she provided you, not just last year, but throughout your entire marriage and in bringing up your family together. I won't be repeating everything that I said last year because I know today is a really difficult time for you, but I do want to acknowledge how much of a wonderful servant to our borough you've been in any role that you've occupied, and I'm really pleased that group leaders unanimously agreed to support your nomination as mayor for a second year, and I'll end in the same way I did last year and say that Oldham's lucky and blessed to have you as mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shah. Councillor Sheldon.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to support, on behalf of the Conservative group, the nomination of Dr Chauhan to be the Mayor of Oldham 2024-25. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sheldon. All those in favour, show.
Councillor Zahid Chauhan, I am delighted to inform you that by the consent of the Council, you have been duly re-elected as Mayor of Oldham Metropolitan Borough for the forthcoming municipal year 24-25. Can I ask you please to read aloud and sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office?
I, Councillor Zahid Chauhan, having been elected to the office of Mayor of the Oldham Metropolitan Borough, hereby declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfill the duties of it according to the best of my ability. I undertake to observe the adopted code of conduct in the performance of my functions in the office. May I just say thank you for confidence from all the parties, and to reassure you again, I will be fair and I will try to do my job as best as I can. Thank you.
Mr Mayor, please can I offer and can you accept the Mayoress's medallion for the last municipal year in memory of your late wife and her outstanding service in supporting you as Mayor.
Thank you. May I ask Council to formally endorse the appointment of my three children, Anik, Ayla and Amelia, as my consort for the 2024-25 municipal year. All those in favour? Sorry, you agreed in advance. Thank you very much. Okay, so if you remember when I got elected as a deputy mayor, I said I will donate my deputy mayoral allowance to Oldham Food Bank, which I did. When I got elected last year as a mayor, I announced that I will donate my mayoral allowance to my Truly Wish campaign, which I am going to do now. And I have someone from our appeal committee. Can I ask Mrs. Alison Powell to come forward, please? Oh, sorry. May I also inform you that my this year mayoral allowance will go towards food parcels, and it will be donated to food banks in Oldham as well. Thank you. Can I please ask for nominations of appoint the office of Deputy Mayor of Oldham Metropolitan Borough for the municipal year 2024-25? Councillor Shah will move. Councillor Taylor will second the appointment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I'm delighted to nominate Councillor Eddie Moores to continue to serve as our borough's Deputy Mayor. I know that he's been a tremendous help to you over the last year whilst Afshin was unwell. With Kath by his side, Eddie was probably the busiest Deputy Mayor that his borough has had in recent memory. I hope Eddie doesn't mind me sharing this, but before I raised the possibility of you, Mr Mayor, continuing as Mayor this municipal year with group leaders, the first person I wanted to speak to was Eddie, because it was important to me that he was happy to delay his mayoral year in order to support you, Zahid, again, and it speaks volumes to Eddie's character that he didn't even hesitate in saying yes to that. On behalf of all of us in the Labour group, Eddie, thank you for all your service to our borough, and I sincerely hope you and Kath have a quiet year in preparation for a fantastic mayoral year in 2025 and 2026.
Councillor Taylor to second.
Second, Mr Mayor.
All those in favour, please show. Congratulations, Councillor Moores. Can I please now ask you to read aloud and sign the declaration of acceptance of office?
I, Councillor Eddie Moores, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor of Oldham Metropolitan Borough, hereby declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my ability. I undertake to observe the adopted code of conduct in the performance of my functions in that office. Thank you.
Are there any declarations of interest from members in respect of matters to be determined by council at this meeting? Take silence as no. Apologies, I missed minutes of the meeting. Item 4. Council agreed the minutes of council meeting held on 13th March 2024 be approved and signed as correct record. Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest from members in respect of matters to be determined by council at the meeting? Take silence as no. Urgent business. I have been notified by Councillor Hobbin about urgent business. Now, before you come to urgent business, may I remind colleagues again to treat members with respect. Thank you. Councillor Hobbin.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm not. So it disappoints me to have to stand up and bring this urgent business, but I think it's something that members in here need to know and the wider public need to know. There's an incident that occurred yesterday, the day before, in this building. That's an absolute stain on democracy. That's an absolute disgusting piece of behaviour towards the confidentiality of members and council officers here. It's taken away any confidence that any of us should have that we can do business in here without our discussions being listened to, without them being recorded, without them being used against us in any way. It scares me that this incident of recording a private meeting, regardless of who was in the meeting, regardless of what was said, the fact that it was recorded and publicised takes away any confidence that we can have in this building. I think the people, the perpetrators, that I will not name at this moment in time, but they know who they are, and their group know who they are, and I think they shall be dealt with in the most severe fashion. My concern, well, one of my other concerns, you don't get caught out doing this thing the first time. It worries me if this has been done before in private meetings in this building. It has in the past. The people concerned in the past have been accused of doing leaks before. That worries me. What other details they have? What other conversations have been overheard? I think it's a real shame because we should all be able to trust each other in this place. I also think it's a shame because people are putting themselves forward to lead a council who are possibly party to what's gone on, and people need to consider that today. We had a great opportunity in Oldham. It was disappointing, the figures at the count for some of us, but a great opportunity for every member in here to come together and do the right thing for Oldham, not for themselves, not for their egos. And unfortunately, I don't think we can. A very good administration could have been formed. People need to think what kind of councillors they deserve and whether they deserve this. But an affront has been made to all of us, and we need to know going forward that trust is back here in this building, in this chamber, and that trust is taken back out of here to the public, who are the ones that have put us here. They don't deserve this, we don't deserve it, and I hope that the right moves are made by the people involved and by the administration, and if necessary by the outside authorities, to come down hard on this. I think it's a disgrace, and it's brought Oldham into the gutter politics that this borough does not deserve.
Thank you. You definitely got more clapping than I had. So, Concession, you indicated?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank Councillor Holbein for at least showing some integrity in raising this as under item of urgent business. You'll know, because you were copied into the email yesterday, that we were notified that we shouldn't, and the advice was that we couldn't, pending the outcome of an investigation. But what is different is what factually happened. Factually, a member of the Liberal Democrats put a recording device, sophisticated spyware, outside my office door. Brazenly, this shocking individual then walked up and down the corridor several times to adjust this spyware whilst I was sat in that room having a legitimate and appropriate meeting. Following that, which I now have factually, because I'm entitled to, because I requested it, an investigation to happen, so I could eliminate what had actually gone on, I saw 5 members of the Liberal Democrats, including the leader, in and out of the group room where this brazen individual was holding the speakerphone to his ear, walking in and out. One of those 5 individuals, also brazen, had the nerve to stand just a few metres away from my office to listen in to, with his colleague, while he was conducting himself in the way that he was in this conversation. Now, this is appalling. This is scary. It's unsettling. It's unnerving. I had the most horrendous evening, as you would imagine, trying to figure out how this had happened. That is the leader's office. Many conversations take place in the office, and we should be able to do them. And actually, part of our induction is that we are told that our Labour group rooms, or any group room for any party, is a safe space where we discuss private business. The fact that he then had the nerve to come and then cement his ear to the wall and the door of my office for however long he did is absolutely shocking and appalling. My request to the Chief Executive, to the Monitoring Officer, who I hold in high regard, who has served us for many years in a really exemplary service, and to you, Mr Mayor, is that anybody who is not an executive member no longer occupies that corridor, because it's not a safe space anymore. I will also be calling for the resignation for the leader, regardless of the outcome of this meeting today, for the leader of the Liberal Democrats and the people that were involved. It's up to them to decide whether they are fit to hold public office.
Thank you. Councillor Craig.
Forgive me, Mr Mayor, but I did believe that a communication had been distributed prior to this meeting for this not to be discussed. The Leader of the Council has now proceeded to itemise and deliver accusations against a political party. Forgive me, but facts haven't been discovered, given there's been no investigation,
Carry on,
which would therefore, I believe, has now compromised any such investigation, given it should be impartial and thorough. And the fact that it's now been discussed in the public meeting, I have to say to the Borough Solicitor, I would now consider this to be a breach of the process, and I have now got grave concerns as to why it's been brought up in the way it's in the manner it's been brought up. Councillor Hoban, you have obviously mentioned it in careful and considered language. However, the leader of the council, current leader of the council's response has, for me, taken it across that line of being able to have a thorough investigation. In fact, the fact that the recordings have been made public, and I have to say, Mr Catherall, those recordings do not look favourably upon yourself, and I've been mentioned in those recordings. So, if anybody is going to consider their position, Mr Catherall, I think it really should be you.
Okay. Councillor Shah.
I'm grateful to Judge Quake's comments, but actually they don't stand. There is no process. It is fact that I have CCTV, and it's fact. And actually, I've been very kind, because what I do feel guilty about is I genuinely believe there are Liberal Democrats sat amongst there that will be appalled at that behaviour too. I'm not going to tar them all, but the individuals that took place in this, they've got a lot to answer for.
We've got a lot of business to go through, so thank you very much. Your comments noted. Please can I have a silence, please. We need to move on to item 7, communication related to business of the Council. I have had notification from members who wish to speak about retiring members. I call on Councillor Shuttleworth and Murphy to speak about Stephen Bashworth. Councillor Shuttleworth.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. May I take this opportunity to welcome you back to your seat. It's good to see you with us. Steve lost his seat this year at the elections, and he had served Oldham Council for 21 years, and I think he served it with dignity. And I know he'd worked hard and consciously for those who elected him over that particular period of time. And I'm pleased to say that I can refer to Steve as a friend, somebody I've got to know during my term of office in various ways, either through the day-to-day activities that we have or on a social footing. Unfortunately, Steve was one of those who, in a previous election campaign, was attacked by opposition members when it was claimed he wasn't out on the streets doing the work. And of course the reason for that was Steve was actually in hospital having life-saving surgery. And it shows you the depth to which the political scene in Oldham has, by some people, hit the bottom. It was an appalling thing, an appalling attack on an individual who was severely ill. So I'm sorry to see Steve go. His council chamber will be worse for it. And I know his favourite subject was one that I and many others will avoid, which was planning. Steve knew what he was doing on that, but as I say, it will be a loss to the council. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Steve, or Mr Royton, He's one of those councillors who, despite being on opposite sides of the chamber, you know that if you ever needed help or advice with a particular issue, Steve was prepared to listen and, if at all possible, help. In his 22 years as a councillor, he was highly respected across the chamber, so much so that one or two of our members refused to campaign in Royton South. I enjoyed working with him, particularly when he was most effective and a common sense chair of the planning committee, also as a member of TRO, where I came into regular contact with him. He always allowed residents to speak and made sure that their voices were heard. As a member of the Shaw and Royton Area Committee, he was highly effective when representing the community and again was prepared to listen when opposing views were raised. He wasn't a walkover and would fight his corner when required, even going against his own party at times. A mark of the man was when he was seriously ill last year, but was still doing casework from his hospital bed, having just cheated death. All while having to put up with comments from people who were even questioning that he was actually ill. Royton has lost a dedicated councillor who actually fought for Royton, and I've no doubt Steve will be back. Royton needs Steve back in this chamber. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I call on Councillor Shah to speak about Councillor Akil Slaman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, this is a really bittersweet moment for me because Akil is a friend, is a dear brother to me, and we all in the Labour group are really, really finding it difficult to deal with the circumstances of him not being in the chamber with us. Akil was a great servant to St Mary's over the last 2 decades. Representing his community was a real honour for him, and I know as a district lead he was really passionate about delivering for all of Central Oldham. I had the pleasure of having Akil as my ward colleague on 2 occasions. When I was first elected in St Mary's in 2012, Akil was already a stalwart as he'd served for a decade already at this point. And then when I was re-elected with Akil last year, we served together and he throughout the last year was incredibly supportive of me. He understood that as leader, I couldn't be at every event or pick up every bit of casework, but he was always happy to step up and to help residents. I know a lot of people are aggrieved with the outcome of that election, but what I do know is that, and I share the feelings of all of the Labour group here in Oldham, that we will continue to work with Akil. He is still and will always remain a valued member of our Labour family.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On similar lines to what Councillor Shah has said, I mean, he was such a hard worker, always doing his casework, and I came across something that he had written himself to ask people to vote for him, and it was, he says, it's an honour for him to represent St Mary's for 13 years by listening to residents and being actively involved in our community. Learnt so much about our area and been able to deliver for the residents. And he was chairman of the Central District Partnership, and he was also on audit and held scrutiny, which I hadn't quite realised. But he says that he's committed, and I think he is still committed, and he will still continue to stand up for residents, even though he might not be a councillor. And he wanted to remain a strong voice for St Mary's on Oldham Council, and unfortunately he hasn't on this occasion, but you never know what the future holds. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Byrne.
Does it work? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This group wish to acknowledge the work that the councillor has done. He's done it in his ward, and many of us have served on committees with him, where he's always been a committed member and fairly sensible. And he has a ward which is not easy, I imagine, but he was a man of the people of that ward, and we acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I call on Councillor Dean, Councillor Marland, Councillor Byrne to speak about Rosebush.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In speaking of Ross, I really appreciated the amount of work she did in Waterhead over the last few years. And not only that, the great support that she actually gave as the Deputy Cabinet Member for Culture and Communities. It was absolutely a superb contribution. Also, she served as Chief Whip for the Labour Group over the last 2 years in an excellent manner, and she was really fair, really decisive. She's a strong person, and I'm sure that we'll see Ross Birch back in this council chamber before very long. She gave great experience as well and advice across the spectrum. In her employment, she actually teaches and she actually helps people into employment, and she's done that very, very successfully, and she translated that into really sound advice in many areas of this authority. So I'm sure we'll see Ross back. Like I say, she's a tough cookie, and I'm sure she'll be back in the next few years. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Marlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm rising on behalf of my colleagues to thank Ros for her service to this borough and for the residents that she served. As born and bred Oldham lass, she worked hard to achieve her personal goals, and following her graduation, she became a tutor in further education. This led to a successful career in education and training, which subsequently brought her to become the Deputy Leader for Education and Skills. I knew Ros through our work on the Charitable Trust Committee, where she was always incredibly approachable, friendly, and always dedicated to doing the best for the people of this borough. She's worked hard, she's done her office proud, and we would like to thank her for her service. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was a time when Ros and I sat together here, politically different, but she sat there and I sat here. We had some fun together. She was a very sensible, down-to-earth councillor. Meeting her outside of work, we searched for bits of paper, bits of things to stick on for things with her, I don't know if they were pupils or whatever she was teaching, and we had good fun. She was a hard-working councillor, and she did achieve, I believe, quite a lot for her Waterhead ward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Call on Councillor Jabbar, Councillor Hamlet and Councillor Byrne again to speak about Ruji Surgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, can I begin by congratulating you and wishing you the very best of luck for your term of office. I rise to thank former Councillor Ruji Surgeon for her excellent service that she's given to the resident of Colders over the last 5 years, and also to this borough of Oldham. She's been a brilliant councillor. She's a brilliant individual, born in Colders, stayed in Oldham and in Colders for a long time. She knows lots of people, particularly young people, and was very much engaged with the community in Coldhurst, particularly the women. And her surgeries are always very busy, and her caseload was absolutely enormous, and I tried to help with her with some of that. She was also chair of the planning committee, which is a very big committee, and it's very difficult. The length of the time that you spend in the committee is quite long. You have to do visits and so on. And she took that on, and she did it extremely well. And members and officers, they all recognize the professional way and efficient way she actually chaired that committee. She was also a whip within our party, and she did that job brilliantly. She'll be definitely missed. I'll miss her. I know the family. I know her when she was a child. And, you know, it was a very difficult moment on the 2nd of May. But I wish her all the best. The Labour group will miss her terribly. And I'm sure she's young enough to come back to this chamber. And I'm sure she will come back to this chamber and continue to make a positive contribution to public service. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hamlet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations once again on your reappointment. Ruji and I was elected at the same time in 2019, and I do recall the difficulties she faced during the build-up of her election. She was so helpful, like many others, offering myself lifts to various meetings. I don't drive, so it was quite hard for me to get around, but particularly to outside bodies, etc., and to various functions. But she and I learned the ropes in our first few months together, and we had a giggle on committees, and especially some of the trainings also. And we sat on some of the committees together as well. And I miss her insights and positivity, and I do wish her well for the future and her adventures ahead, and especially the fact that, you know, she was engaging, and of course her ward included Royal Oldham, so of course she had a lot of interest, particularly with Royal Oldham, and particularly the health work that enticed in that, and I think of course she knew her stuff, and I'm sure, like Councillor Jabbar intimated, I'm hopeful that she may return, but I'm sure she won't necessarily stop her work, and I do wish her all the best for the future, so thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ruji was a pragmatic person. When you sat in committee, politics never mattered. It was whatever we were discussing that was the focal point. And she always gave the impression that she was so professional about things that she knew she was in depth about when she spoke about things. And I am going to miss her on committee because although she was elected after me, both Louis and I know that she was one of those people that she used to ask questions, but we also used to ask her, and she did used to guide us in a number of ways. And she was a lovely lady, and I hope to see her back. Thank you.
Thank you. I call on Councillor Murphy and Bishop to speak about Hazel Gloucester.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the newest member of the group, I didn't know Hazel that well until I was elected to the Chamber last year. I can admit to being a little in awe of her, and that respect only grew over the year as I worked more closely with her. Hazel is the sort of councillor with a work ethic that inspires you, always on the ball, knows her stuff, and most importantly, is fiercely loyal to her community, to which she has dedicated many hours of voluntary work over decades. It is clear when speaking to people in Shard just how much esteem they hold her in, and rightly so. It was a great privilege to have worked alongside Hazel during my first year as a borough councillor. I learnt a huge amount from her, and I shall miss her wicked sense of humour and fun. I'll also miss her pushing an emergency boiled sweet or plum in my direction when council meetings have gone into extra time, or even penalties, and you need a quick energy boost. In fact, I think we first bonded over a pack of fruit pastels I discovered in my bag when she'd come straight from work without having had her tea. She always looks out for people, that's just her way, and I know she'll still be doing it. Hazel is exactly the sort of person you want fighting your corner. A strong lady who knows her own mind and fights hard for her community, which I'm certain she shall continue to do. I'm sure she'll be back in this chamber, making her voice heard again for them.
Thank you. Councillor Bishop, sorry, Councillor Gloucester, sorry, Councillor Jabbar, do you want to speak?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to thank Hazel Gloucester for the service that she's given to this council, and particularly the Shore Ward. Whenever she spoke very clearly, and you could tell from her speech that she'd actually done the research behind the topic that she was talking about. And I actually enjoyed the contribution she made. She was very careful with her word, and she was very efficient. And, you know, we should thank her for that, because sometimes when people speak, we're not always clear about the point that we want to make. But that wasn't the case with Hazel. Hazel was always very clear in about what she wanted to make, and she made the contribution very well. And on behalf of Oldham Labour Group, I want to thank her and wish her very best of luck for the service that she's given to Oldham Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Apologies, Councillor Murphy, I missed you.
It's okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've known Hazel for over 25 years and she supported me through thick and thin. I witnessed her dedication when I needed her help with the planning application for 85 homes right outside my front door. And it was working very closely with her that I found an interest in wanting to become a councillor. Hazel's words still resonate with me now. Treat every resident that approaches you in a way you would want to be treated if it was you asking for help. She helped me to become a councillor and she never once pressured me to join the Liberal Democrats. Hazel said, that needs to be your decision. I joined the Lib Dem team, not the party, so people can blame her for me being here. I'm not going to share any personal stories because unfortunately we're in a times where people twist words, edit videos and use it for gutter politics. Instead, I'm going to give you some of Hazel's history. Hazel was first elected onto the Borough Council in 2018, having served as a parish councillor and a previous parish council chairman. Hazel's interest in the council came because of her work in the education sector when the parish council asked her to be a governor for St George's School in Shaw, as they were aware of her educational background. Hazel's talents were quickly recognised by the school, who were at the time struggling, and as chair of governors, she took the school from special measures to a constantly good rating. As a borough councillor, Hazel continued this theme and has been Shadow Cabinet Member for Education and Early Years. Her work as a governor has been nationally recognised as a national lead of governance for the National College of Teaching and Leadership. Hazel has been an active corporate parent and places the well-being of children across our communities high on an agenda. Hazel is currently a governor at a special school in Oldham that has just maintained its outstanding status. In Shaw, Hazel was deeply involved with the community and is well liked. She could be relied upon to follow up issues. Hazel's casework was more based on the personal ones, the ones that you don't get many votes with, or you can't make much noise, but make the biggest difference to those who you help. Probably her greatest achievement was leading the campaign to prevent a mail-order warehouse building, an automated building in the centre of Shaw that was practically the same height as the Civic Centre, as well as the work and support to achieve the new health centre in Shaw, which, to use the words of a resident, would still be a patch of wasteland if it wasn't for the tireless campaigning of the Liberal Democrats. A testament to Hazel is that she's been in contact with council officers, explaining that she's not a councillor anymore, but has asked if she can still help with a complicated case that she's working on, where the resident needs one-on-one support. Hazel is a loss to this council. Her role as a ward councillor and her roles in education as a corporate parent will sadly be missed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Hobby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got to know Hazel Gloucester well before I became a councillor, when I was a school governor, and in the role that she did as a school governor and as a mentor, she always went over and above anything that she needed to do. And I noticed that when I came into this chamber when she was here, she would do that here as well. She was fully committed and she was full of integrity and here for the right reasons and did it for the right reasons. I applauded her for most of the stuff that she did, even though she was from a different part of the political scene. I wish her well. I hope she comes back. This chamber certainly needs more people like Hazel.
Call on Councillor Davis, Hobbin and Bishop to speak about Lucia Rea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to pay tribute to Lucia's tenure as a councillor. A short period, 2 years. The first year she was a councillor I wasn't here, but the second year I really got to know her really well. and really appreciated what a really nice person she was. You know, a really good person who worked tirelessly for her residents. Like I said last year when I paid tribute to somebody, we're all here for the right reasons, I believe. We all maybe have a different way we can do it, but we all do our best for our residents. She had successes with casework, our work getting things done for the Westminster Gardens. She had an event at the Town Hall, which was arranged, which went, you know, was really good. So congratulations on her for that. And you know, and just to say to her, if she's listening to this, or if they can pass the message on, Brian and Neil there, she'll be missed, and I wish her all the best and her family, and good luck for the future.
Thank you. Councillor Hobby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it was a testament to the respect that Lucia had garnered right across this chamber and with council officers that when the results were done at the count, there was a widespread shock and disappointment at losing such a hard-working councillor. That she left the hall with her head held high, showing her strength of character, and that it took so long for us to leave the hall because so many people wanted to come over and speak to her also shows the respect that she'd garnered. It's a great loss to me and my colleague, Councillor Indall. It's a great loss to Failsworth that we've lost a very good councillor and a true champion for her area. She knew her role and she knew her responsibilities that role gave her. She knew that her challenges to the administration or in the committees that she was on was based on true beliefs and she could fully back them up. There are some people that use the role for different reasons and they'll never use the position to really challenge. Lucia would say many times, that's a wasted seat. You need to be here to do more than that. She could certainly never be accused of doing that, as many in this chamber will testify. Others will now have to raise their game if there's to justify their seats. They'll have to look at themselves and consider how much of a part they took in removing Lucia, who had done so much for an area that they prepared to care about. I'm proud to call her a friend. I was proud to have her on the team, and I sincerely hope she'll return. God knows with the recent actions of some people in the chamber, we definitely need more Lucias.
Thank you. Councillor Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having sat on the Children and Young People's Scrutiny Board with Lucia over the past year, it quickly became very clear how much she cared about her community in Failsworth and also about young people across the borough. From the outset, Lucia was professional and engaged, making sure she had read all the material and was ready to ask pertinent questions. But aside from this, Lucia has many other admirable qualities. She's always warm, friendly and polite, but she also has a really refreshing approach to things in that she's prepared to listen to and work with others for the betterment of all, regardless of political beliefs. She also deserves recognition in this chamber for leading by example with the work that she did to establish training sessions in Failsworth, both for young people and for parents and carers to help them recognise the signs of abuse and exploitation through her work with COGS. It was this positive, proactive stance that earned her a lot of respect and marked her out as being genuine in her concern and care for the young people of the borough. I hope Lucia continues to build on the great work she's done, and I have absolutely no doubt that she'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I call on Councillor Ghaffur and Kenyon to speak about Mohammed Irfan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mohammed Irfan and I have been friends since 2008, when we first started our journey in politics. He has supported me in the local elections and every subsequent elections that we've both fought. He is a man of amazing character, a man who has stood by me since the start of our political journey. He is honest and trustworthy. We've been together in many defeats over the years, and just last year we decided to fight in the all-outs. And with our unity and trust, we took all 3 seats. Unfortunately, it was not to be this year. His time as a councillor was short-lived, but the amount of work that he was able to do for the community of Hollingwood was unparalleled. He worked hard and always answered his phone whatever time a resident needed him. I believe that it won't be too long before we have the pleasure of seeing him again in these chambers. Thank you for your service, my friend, and for all your support over the years. And we'll make sure that the 34 vote deficit will be overturned at the next election. Thank you.
Councillor Kenyon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mohammed Irfan was one of the 3 shock winners in Hollingwood in the local elections of May 2023, with his colleagues, councillors Ghaffur and Wahid. I say shock, but it was unlike to be such for the good people of Hollingwood, a dedicated ward councillor in the short time he was here, who was always available for his constituents, working hard on their behalf. I've little doubt that this chamber and the good people of the borough of Oldham will benefit from his generous spirit and dedication in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Jabbar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise on behalf of Oldham Labour Group to thank Mohammed Irfan for the service that he gave to the people of Hollingwood. I'm sure he was a very hard-working councillor. His stay was a short period, but nevertheless, he made a contribution to the public life here in Oldham, and particularly to the people of Hollingwood. So on behalf of the Labour Group, I'd like to thank him and wish him the very best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Council will be aware of recent passing of former councillors Jackie Stanton, Warren Bates, and also the passing of former councillor and former mayor Alvin Cheriton. For those that have not had the opportunity to sign the book of condolences, they are currently displayed outside the chamber this evening, if you wish to sign them this afternoon. I have been notified that members wish to say a few words. Councillor Dean about Alvin Cheriton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alwyn always lived her life in Oldham, and her life was long, well over 90 years, and she came late into politics, but she served the people of Brighton North for over 10 years, and she was a fierce fighter on their behalf, and she was so well respected, and she was a kind, gentle person, but she was tenacious in pursuing a result for her residents. And as the mayor, she was outstanding. People really appreciated the kindness, the work she did, and she always went that extra mile to see people, to visit people. So Alwyn will be greatly missed. And in her early days, and that's why she came late into politics, she had great experience in amateur dramatics. She was a leading lady in so many productions throughout the borough, and people fondly remember those times, the older people of the borough. So Alwyn came late into politics, but she made a vast impression and a significant impression. So it's a sad loss, and we send our condolences to the family, but it was a long life, well lived, and the people of Oldham certainly benefited tremendously from what she did. Thank you.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Liberal Democrats, I want to pay tribute to Alwyn, who served our borough as a councillor for Royton North between 2004 and 2014, and served as a mayor of Oldham from 2012 to 2013. And she was fierce, and that's when I started out. I started out as a governor, and that's when I met Alwyn, and some other members of the Royton North and Royton South Labour members, and I really liked her because I just felt that she was true to what she wanted. She was true to what she wanted to say and how she felt. She was a lovely person, and when she was mayor, they kept saying that she was the grandmother of Oldham, which I thought was quite apt actually, because she went here, there and everywhere and met so many people. It was just wonderful to see that the reception that she got. She was not only passionate about writing, but she wanted to help her residents. And it's a shame to see that she's passed, but I'm sure she's looking down on us, and wishing you, Mr. Mayor, all the best as well.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sykes.
Yes, Mr Mayor, and congratulations on your re-election. I'd like to say just a couple of words about all three people at once, if that's all right, and save you time. Olwyn, we first came across Olwyn, myself and Councillor Williamson, when she used to turn up at the Shaw, Crompton and Royton Area Committee and harangue us. At the time, it was about a mast on a mill that now no longer exists in Royton. And it's from that point forward you could see somebody who would make a very good councillor and was rightly so hoovered up by your side, and got herself elected and did a first-class job as our first citizen. And my sympathies go out to her family and friends. The second person I'd like to speak about is Jackie Stanton, who was my deputy for many years and a member of our group. And although we were still on speaking terms, just about, even though she crossed to the dark side in her latter years, we were still civil. And one of my lasting memories of Jackie, she very much subscribed to an army marches on its stomach. And I'll tell you what, if you ever went round to Jackie's house, you didn't do much marching afterwards. You did a bit of crawling, because she would feed you until you burst, both food and drink. My sympathies go out to her husband Brian, and her daughter and son, and the rest of the family. And then I couldn't possibly not just say a few words about Warren Bates. I've known Warren for a very, very long time. And Warren's one of those people that somewhere between 10 and 20% of what he says is absolutely spot on and has an element of truth. But the art is dissecting the other 80% and removing the noise. But my lasting memory of Warren, which I think he would be very proud of, and when he was still a member of the Labour Party, I was delivering leaflets in Failsworth. And I can actually say, he's the only person who's ever chased me up a street to harangue me because I had the audacity to put a Lib Dem leaflet through his neighbour's door. And that'll be my lasting memory of Warren. Sympathies to his family. It was very quick. You could clearly see the last time we all saw him here, he was ill. And my sympathies go to his friends and family as well. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Sharp to speak about Jackie Stanton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I could talk an awfully long time about Jackie and the very kind-natured and caring person she was, and I don't think I will have time to go into that much detail. But what I will say is I owe Jackie absolutely everything for my first election win. She was absolutely instrumental in providing the knowledge and the experience that helped me get across the line, and I still use her delivery routes today to deliver my leaflets. Jackie was committed to representing the people of St James and the wider Oldham Borough, and her dedication really summed up the kind of person she was. She was just a very, an incredibly kind person. She always had time for everyone. She always went to every community event, even if she didn't want to. I had the pleasure of knowing Jackie and her family since I was at school, and I loved going round to her house for a coffee and a catch-up. And Councillor Sykes has just touched on this. She always had the best selection of crisps. Every kind of crisp you could ask for, she had, and they were fantastic. I think following Jackie's passing, from the messages that we all saw, you could tell the kind of person she was. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank her, because without her, I wouldn't be here. So thanks, Jackie.
Thank you. Councillor Woodburn.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Jackie was a formidable figure in Oldham politics. Jackie was a passionate champion for Oldham, not just the town centre like some, but the borough. I'm sure we've all seen the photograph of her on the JCB as she demolished most of Durka. She was an opinionated so-and-so, but she understood the issues across the metropolitan borough. She was one of the strongest personalities in local politics. She said what she thought, and she said it regardless of what other people thought. She was a superb and unparalleled support of my Conservative colleague, Councillor Sharp, and I know the two of them were very close. I think Jackie was like an additional grandmother to Beth. Indeed, she cracked open a bottle of champagne for the both of us when we were first elected, and I appreciate her kindness at that time. She was a massive supporter of us young candidates in Oldham, and that is possibly her greatest strength. The supportive messages she shared to Luke and I on social media, and in the cards she sent to us after our elections, goes to show she wanted strong representation in Saddleworth as much as anywhere else in Oldham, and I hope we've provided that. Jackie had very, very strong views and feelings, and she could often rub people up the wrong way. I admire the fact she was unapologetically herself. She said what she meant, and she meant it very strongly. I agreed with her a lot, but I also had many disagreements with her. However, I have come to the conclusion she was a loving, motherly, matriarchal figure to Oldham, in the same way she was to Brian and her family who adored her. I thank Jackie for her service to the borough.
Thank you. Councillor Charlton?
I think Councillor Woodvine hit the nail on the head when he said that Jackie had a very strong personality. The first time I met Jackie was sat in the public gallery, and wasn't the friendliest of meetings, but it was. I can never say that she didn't have a forthright view, and I know that a lot of people across Durka, but also in Shoulder and Moorside, will miss her a lot. She was dedicated for St James, and I know how much she meant to Beth and also to her family. And I just wish the family all the best.
Thank you very much. Councillor Davis to speak about Councillor Warren Bates.
Well, thank you, Mr Mayor. I rise to pay tribute to the life of Warren Bates. And where can you start? Never a dull moment is the first thing I'd say. But he started his working life as a miner. I think he was a union rep at the age of 16. He worked in the NHS, he worked with Dr Steptoe. But his most famous job he had, or the job that he worked for the longest, was on the buses, where he became the union rep. And a couple of things that he did while he did that. While he was a union rep, they were on some industrial action, and someone was trying to drive a bus out. He jumped in front of the bus to stop the bus coming out of the depot. That's Warren all over, isn't it? The other thing he did was, Stan Skinkis, who was a former member here, a former Labour member, he picked him up once on the bus on the street and dropped him off, varied his route and dropped him off outside his own front door. That's Warren all over, isn't it? So on to his political side, I first got to know him about in 2014 when he won the election against and got elected against John Batty, and he was a UKIP member at that stage. He was a member of several political parties, which he always joked about, and we all joked about. So he represented Failsworth West for 4 years, did his best. Like I said, he'd always try to help people the best he could. So obviously, the famous thing about Warren as well was the little sayings he come out with, not always politically correct, various ones, which I won't mention, I'll probably get in trouble. But one of them that he always used to say is, I've got loads of friends. I've got loads of friends, but I don't like them all. That was one of his famous sayings. They've all laughed, they've all heard that when he spoke to them. He said it to me sometimes, so I'm not sure where I was on the scale, whether he liked me or didn't like me. But I liked him. But yeah, I mean, last but one council meeting, he was over there and he said to me, like this, like steering wheel thing, can I give him a lift home? I said, yeah, thumbs up. I give him a lift home, and I said, you know, you don't sound well at all, Warren. And he said, listen, if he was out wrong with me, I'd tell you, I'd admit it. So anyway, alas, he did make the last council meeting of the year. That one was the budget. He did make the last council meeting of the year, and of course I heard that he'd gone ill. He'd become ill and he was in hospital. He was down as a candidate, actually, wasn't he? Right to the end, he was down as a candidate. And unfortunately, he lost his battle. But I think we'll all miss him, won't we? We'll definitely all miss him, no doubt about that. love him or hate him, we'll all miss him. And commiserations to Warren and all the family on his death. Thank you.
Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The first time I met Warren was a few short years ago, and his passion for politics and justice was clear to see and hear. Warren was a part of the fixtures and fittings of Failsworth, a town that he loved along with his own family. It's felt very strange not seeing him waving his arms about enlightening residents on his strong views. And it's going to feel even stranger not hearing him in the public gallery, but I'm sure he's here in spirit. For those unable to attend his very moving funeral, I'd like to share this short poem read out during the funeral as it sums Warren up to a T. The poem is entitled Humour. Oh dear, if you're reading this right now, I must have given up the ghost. I hope you can forgive me for being such a stiff and unwelcoming host. Just talk amongst yourself, my friends, and share a toast or two, for I am sure you will remember me how I love to talk to you. Don't worry about mourning me, I was never easy to offend. Feel free to share a story at my expense, and we'll have a good laugh at the end. Rest in peace, Warren. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hobby.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Much has been said about Warren here, and it will continue to be said here and in Failsworth. Just as he used to say, and tell us all, he had served as a councillor. He's going to be surely missed here, but I'm sure he'll admit that he wasn't everybody's cup of tea. He used to always say to me that he much preferred my younger brother to me. What a character he was, and his love of Failsworth showed no bounds. His passion and opinion always ready to be shouted out, mainly on Failsworth precinct to anybody that would listen to him. His fight for justice was always present here, every time he could get here. And it will be a lot quieter without him. Some of us now have got to continue that fight for justice, and we will do it on his behalf. Best wishes to his family. Rest in peace, Warren.
Thank you. Councillor Byrne.
My God, I think Warren had always saying, stop being so miserable today. It's, you know, you all know nothing would be his response to you all today. I first met Warren back in 2008, and he was outside Failsworth Tesco, and he was waving his arms and pointing away, and he told me at the end of his conversation, I knew nothing, and you knew nothing of the person I was with, and no doubt uttered it to countless others who followed. Warren was a local character, and he was Failsworth through and through. He was a lifelong trade unionist, and for those in the Labour Party who care to forget, he was a member of the Labour Party for a good few years. He always used to tell somebody something, even if they didn't want to listen. Something which may shock a number of current members is that he was a member of various parties, Labour, UKIP, Green, True Independent, not the Conservatives. He didn't get quite that far. Warren, I knew personally, but also politically. Our views differed immeasurably, but ultimately he'd always say, though we disagreed, we're always friends at the end of it, aren't we? Yes, Warren, we are. And he would never, ever let anybody say that he had not a bad word for him. Even though he gave his views, he'd always say, how's somebody? He always knew somebody. He always used to say, how's your mum to me? And I'd say, well, she's all right, Warren, she's all right. But what made Warren different, he wasn't a member of a political party. He was a man on a mission. And that's what Warren Bates was on. He was a man who made people in this chamber have delicate sensibilities and political correctness and pearl clutchers who dominate this chamber listen in one way or another, because Warren Bates got his opinion across. And Warren Bates, for all what's been said about him today, was the man who started off a lot of the historic CSE investigations and started that ball rolling. And it was Warren's dogged determination with a press that wouldn't listen to him, with a council that wouldn't listen to him, with nobody listening to him. He was a lone voice. And until that lone voice got louder, and until that lone voice got through, it was thanks to Warren Bates. Warren Bates of Failsworth, former councillor for Failsworth, as he always used to say, who got many in this chamber today elected. It was his dogged determination for the people of Failsworth, but also the people of Oldham. And I've got to say, I think St. Peter probably had a rather busy day when he got through the pearly gates, because knowing Warren, he probably had something to say, and he probably wasn't doing it right. But Wazza, God bless, and to his family, thank you for giving us Warren Bates.
Thank you. Councillor Byrne, did you want to speak? Or are you okay? Okay, thank you very much. Council is also asked to note that today it's okay, I will still allow you to speak without even having name here. Councillor Williamson?
Thank you. Yeah, everybody said everything really, but I met Warren through standards because he kept getting brought to standards for saying this about somebody and not following rules, because he used to stand up and say, I want to say something, I want to say something. And you think, right, okay, let him speak on this motion, but it wouldn't be about the motion. It would be about something we'd already discussed. We'd already made the decision, all of us in this chamber. And so we tried and tried to get him to have some training. And Paul Entwistle will attest to this, that we said, we can't sanction him because I don't think that he's going to listen to that. But if you sort of put it in a way that says, Warren, we'll just give you a bit of training on how to stick your hand up at the right moment and be able to speak. Now, that was the end of it for me. But every single time I saw him, he came up to me and he used to say, you did right by me, so I'll do right by you. So I said to him, what does that mean? What does it mean? And he said, I'll try and stick my hand up at the right place. So the first time, what did he do? Exactly the same. You couldn't stop the man. But I know his tenacity and everything about him was just a breath of fresh air, and sometimes it was painful to hear, but also you did listen, because like I think Howard said, you know, when he talked, you couldn't understand what he was saying half the time because he was speaking so fast, but there might be that 10% that was absolutely right, and it wasn't till afterwards where you walked away from him, if you could walk away from him, that you think, yeah, he said that. Yeah, I think so. So my heart goes out to his family. I always had a bit of time for him. He always spoke to me kindly. And I think he will be up there nudging the person who's next to him saying, you want to watch this? This is going to be good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Council is also asked to note that today marks the 7th anniversary of the bombing of the Manchester Arena, a truly dreadful terrorist act that left 22 innocent people dead. Can I ask members, if they can, to stand for a minute's silence in memory of the victims of the Manchester bombing and for the 3 deceased former councillors? Thank you. Take a seat. Okay, I move on to item 8, to note the report of the returning officer on the results of the local elections on 2nd May 2024. Does Council note the report? Thank you. Item 9, Leader of the Council. I call on the Council Taylor to move and Council Jabbar to second the report, which notes that Council Shah remains Leader of the Council until the start of the first annual Council meeting after the Leader's normal day of retirement as a Councillor, as outlined in the report. Now, I do have amendment to this. I just want to make it clear. I want to have a proper debate this, and I don't want to brush anything under the carpet. I will try to make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak, whoever wishes to speak on amendment, etc. But I would urge people to not personalize things and talk about the policies. People really keen to hear the policies from all sides. So, Councillor Taylor to move.
Move, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded, Mr. Mayor.
So I have amendment which will be moved by Councillor Quigg and seconded by Councillor Gafoor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to debate the amendment placed down in my name. There's a chance today to either change direction or continue the way that we've been going for the past 13 years. But that's not down to just me, that's down to everybody else in this chamber. Whether they can front up and say to the people we tried and we can deliver change, or will we just hide behind and stand by and allow this borough to continue down the disastrous path that it's going. It could get personal. It's already got personal today, as we found out under Councillor Shah. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because things are not well at the heart of Denmark, to quote Shakespeare. Things are not well at the heart of Oldham Council. We have got officers leaving in droves. We have got problems with children's services. We still haven't got to the bottom of how many people are abused, criminal, and basically left to rot. Our children left to rot at the hands of evil grooming gangs. And yet, we are here today to either make that choice, to change that direction and give justice for those survivors, or do we carry on with the same cover-up? Do we carry on with the same nonsense that all is well because Andy's review has made it all well? No, I can't sit here today and make that choice. It's time for us to have some change in this chamber. It's time for us to clear out the decks. It's time for us to make a difference. You look your people in the eye who voted for you and say you had an opportunity that's come round once in probably a decade or so to change this council for the better. A council that can work together, a council that can deliver, a council that allows everybody the opportunity, regardless of party, to participate. But no, we either continue as we are with the one-party state and the diktats, the locked-outs, the destruction of democracy, where we don't even allow people to attend, to ask questions, and the public to attend questions and ask questions. Instead, they're stuffed with partisan questions from the Labour Party, asking things which they could ask themselves in a straightforward email. We want to open that up. We want to allow the sunshine of democracy back into this chamber, back into this council. And it's time for us here today to make that change. But of course, it isn't going to be easy. There are going to be difficult decisions to make. There are things which this council has done and is probably set to do, which will obviously make people queasy, may make things that aren't easy to listen to or hear happen. But to govern is to serve, and we have a choice. For those of us who've talked the good talk outside in elections, who've got elected to this chamber, thanks to many of the people in this public gallery today, who've gone out there, delivered your leaflets, voiced for you, vouched for you, done what they thought was best for this town, put political differences aside, and come here today with this amendment to try and change that leadership? Or do we carry on with the same usual nonsense? Do we carry on with the shambles that continues and has continued for years? It isn't down to me, it isn't down to my voice. I can come here to this chamber and I can make my speeches and I can put amendments down, put motions down. But the real change is down to members of this council chamber today. You were elected to this chamber to make a change. Many of you are in the Labour Party. Many of you who were elected here to change this council and change it for the better. It's down to you now to do that. I'm a single vote, you have many votes. But it's down to you, it's down to you, and it's down to everybody. Do you want us to continue as we are?
Move an extension. Second.
Or do we want change? And I think the people of this borough, having knocked this council into no overall control, want that change. And we can either be grown up about it and work together, or we can elect this council leader again, and we'll face the same problems, the same red doors, the same blockages, the same problems and the same cover-ups and the same things that always happen in this council chamber, where people aren't listened to, where people are ignored. It's time for us to do the right thing, and for goodness sake, put your politics aside and elect a new leader to this council, because that's exactly what we need.
Thank you. Councillor Kapoor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to second this amendment for the removal of the leader of this council. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to make it personal on a few fronts. Fellow councillors, I'm a proud Oldhamer, born and raised in this town, educated locally, and also run my various businesses here. I decided to raise my family in this town, not because I was not offered opportunities elsewhere, but because I always believed in my town. Unfortunately, I have seen this town go into a slow decline over the many years that this Labour Party have run this town. Just last year, my colleagues and I decided to run for Oldham Council, not because we needed to, but because we wanted to bring a positive change to our borough, to let the people of Oldham know that they have an alternative voice to this Labour administration, which has largely been responsible for this decline. I'm therefore surprised and shocked that after such a heavy defeat in this election, that the Labour Party of Oldham have decided to stand by their defeated and failed leader. Does this mean that they do not have any depth to choose a new leader from amongst themselves? Or does it mean that they are fearful of their leader, or they are genuinely happy with much of the same? I can quite categorically say that myself and the Oldham group do not accept this status quo. We believe that this town needs a change for the better. The people of Oldham have demanded it. They have given the independents a mandate to go out there and secure this council so that we can build a better borough, a borough that can be once again proud of itself. This Labour administration has failed on many accounts. It has failed the people that they stand to represent. They take their views and undermine them. They do not listen. They do not do what the community asks of them. Can the current leader of the council not see this? Just in her own ward, she has lost the confidence of her electorate, being beaten by over 1,400 votes. Not because of bad actors and extreme politics, but because she refused to listen to the electorate. I stood here at the last council meeting and I implored the Labour group of councillors to vote for our amendment, because that is what the people of their wards demanded. But this too fell on deaf ears. This is why they lost so many seats in the inner wards. We have to remember that we are here to represent the people who elected us. We are not here for vanity projects and to have our pictures posted on every candidate's leaflets and every page of the Oldham Council newsletter. We are actually here to do a job, the job of putting Oldhamers first. This administration has failed again and again, and now they expect us to vote them back in. If the Labour Party is too weak to get rid of their leader, We as the Oldham Group and the Alliance are not. We will stand up to the tyranny of this administration and bring a new dawn to Oldham. An Oldham that we can be proud of. An Oldham which we can give a good standard of living to our future generations. A group of councillors who want to have an independent inquiry into the CSE, this is what we will bring, a proper one, not a watered down one. Not to gain numbers to keep themselves into power, because they have been voting against this CSE motion for the past 2 years. To give back the Oldham Coliseum to the people of Oldham, because that's what they demand. We are here to listen to the people and do what we want to make to a prosperous borough. I've listened to Councillor Hoban today, and I feel that some mistakes allegedly may have been made. But should that let us deflect? Should that let us deflect for the change that the public demand? Let's deal with those issues after a change in this leadership, and we will be dealing with those issues. Lastly, I want to say to the councillors who want to sit on their hands and abstain from this vote, or who want to vote in a fair leader, then be it on your heads. Like the electorate did not forgive the Labour Party in the inner wards, the electorate will not forgive you for not speaking up for what they wanted. An end to this Labour administration. Therefore, I urge every councillor in these chambers, whether you're Labour, whether you're Liberals, whether you're Conservatives or the Independents, to stand up and remove this current leader who is toxic and vote in a leader and an alliance that can unite our borough.
I'm not sure who gets the best award for the speech, Councillor Quigg or Councillor Ghafoor, but I'll let public to decide. Councillor Hamdani, that's enlightened.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is a hard act to follow, and I listened to both of them, and it wouldn't surprise you to know I didn't always agree with everything they said, but I listened to them, and there was enough there that I agreed with, and I think that's the point. I've been in this chamber for 5 years, and I think I've tried to be fair throughout. And that's always been my approach, to do what I can. And I think there is a problem in Oldham that people don't feel that is what happens. Whether that's always fair or not, that is what people feel. There is a disconnect between this chamber and the people who we represent. And if you ask me, do you want the opportunity to try and change that? Then yes, I do. I'm definitely not going to personalise it, because there are people all across this chamber that I respect. But I also think that there are too many times when choices are made badly, when incorrect things happen and we do not change tack. And I think it's really important that we actually recognise that. It's not that a person has failed. We have failed. Everyone in this room, because that disconnect is there. That is wrong. We are not representing people properly, and we have to change that. And can I stand up in front of you and tell you 100% that this collective group will get all of those decisions right? No, I can't. But I know that I will do everything in my power to get as many of them right as possible. And for everyone who is standing up there, I will listen, and I'll do my best, and I'll fight for you. And I've fought for you every single day that I've been here, and I will fight for you every day that I'm here. And at some point I won't be here, and I'll still fight for you. And that's what a council should be. And I hope that as a group that takes over the administration, that's what we can do. And that's the best I have to offer.
Thank you. Councillor Shuttleworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not unsurprisingly, I'm speaking against this amendment. And start off by, say, Councillor Quigg made a quote before, so I'll make one. Misery acquaints a man with strange bedfellows. And that's what we'll have today if this amendment goes through. what we will have is not a united council. We will have a council of chaos. Because you've got three parties. You've got three parties who all got different views, different approaches, and made different offers to people who voted them in. I found it interesting with Councillor Gafford that he talks about his political career. Unfortunately, he doesn't tell you what his political career is. You know, he hasn't said it was a Labour councillor in about 2008, and then stood for general election in 2010 before he became a Labour Conservative councillor last year, before he was suspended 6 months later. And now we've got the body we have now, which is a mixture of individuals who, when you look at what they were offering people, were so different. We have a Conservative Party who disposed of Councillor Sharman, she was last leader, not because of anything she'd done, or this council had done, but based on a smear leaflet. And it was the most appalling leaflet that anybody could actually see. It's probably unheard of in Oldham and every other borough. It was actually delivered by Conservative candidates. But Councillor Sheldon, of course, like the three monkeys, you know, hear no evil, see no evil, speak none, didn't know anything about it. And that's what we were confronted with. And what we were given by the Conservative councillors is a candidate who, when he wasn't apologising for his behaviour in this council...
Can we try to avoid personalisation? I know others have done it, but please, it will be helpful. Please let me...
It was somebody who lasted less than 6 months. And that was the sort of person that the Conservatives presented in Chatham South. And of course, this year, we found they had another candidate suspended after the nominations were closed. That is what the Conservatives have to offer. They even offered, in a previous election, a candidate who wasn't a Conservative member. And then we turned to the Liberals, and I've had respect for some people across the way, but I was concerned when Councillor Hoban spoke before about the recording. No signs of remorse. He just sat there. So disappointing to see people who you could have respect for just accepting the actions that have taken place. Now, Councillor Al-Hamdani talks about fair throughout. For many people, I have respect. What is fair, Councillor Al-Hamdani, with a political party that will go and bug another one? So listen to what is being said with other councillors. When you yourselves, on Councillor Gafford, or yourself just talks about this alliance, you've also, all three of you, the groups, have met at some stage to talk about what you're presenting today. And you're allowed to do that in your privacy, in your time, and discuss how you want to do it. But not with our group, because somebody went down and bugged it. So I would ask you all to oppose the amendment, and that's really it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Haynes. Please, can I have a silence? Let's listen to all the members, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I started my political journey not as a member of any party, but simply to try and deliver better outcomes for my community. I've been privileged and honoured to be given a mandate by the people of Shaw to act as a true independent. And my conceited belief was Oldham's Labour leadership was uncontrollable. It didn't answer to the people in Oldham, and it's made continued mistakes. However, I am mindful of the options available to us as a chamber. We can either enter into a future where the Labour leadership is held accountable by true independence, or we can pass over the reins to this hodgepodge of an alliance. An alliance.
Please, can I have a silence in chamber, please? Please.
Sorry, Gary.
Councillor Haynes, please carry on. Continue, please.
So, just catch my thing. An alliance which has deliberately marginalised true independence, not to be part of the decision-making process, but to be on committees and bought off. This is effect Howard Sykes' last chance. It's not my last chance because I'm in office for the next 3 years.
Please continue. You don't need to respond to
Yeah,
that.
sorry about that. So I implore, we've seen the behaviour of the people beside us. We've seen their actions and what they're capable of. So
Just hold on 1 second. Please, can I request people in the gallery, allow people to speak, please, like other people were allowed to speak. Let's be respectful, please. I don't want to adjourn this meeting. I don't want this meeting to go behind the closed doors or something. I want people to hear, and I want to give people opportunity to speak. If you really believe in democracy, please allow this. I will invite you to my parlor after this, and you can have a cup of tea. Does that help in any way? Please, allow people to speak. Let's hear from all sides so people can make their mind up. Let them convince each other who is right and who is wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I have been absolutely clear about is this town needs a full, independent public inquiry into historic child abuse within this borough. Not a Labour-led, not a Lib Dem alliance, rebel alliance, or whatever you want to call it, but a true independent one. And I have got that from the administration in writing. So I call on the true independents in this room who have done much more work than anybody else in this chamber regarding such subjects to join with me and let's take this forward, because the alternative is chaos. So better sometimes the devil you do than the devil you don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hobbin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to stand up here and try and convince people to vote one way or another. That's their own conscience. But as I said earlier on, I do think it's a shame because the independents have, over the last few elections, had a mandate to serve here. And it's just a shame that sensible people from every party, with the numbers that we have split the way they are, that sensible people across every party cannot get together, sit down and do it just for the better of the borough. Because there are sensible people, there are people in every party that deserve to be around that table and getting this borough back to where it needs to be. Until we can do that, we're going to end up, as we are now, with people that don't want to invest in the borough, with people that don't want to work in the borough. I just find it a crying shame that these sensible people could not get together and to form a proper alliance for the benefit of Oldham and not for the benefit of themselves.
Thank you very much. Sorry, 1 second, you will get right of reply. Concern?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be very brief. John Major, perhaps not the best Prime Minister in recent times, but certainly not the worst, once said of the Labour front bench, we have to remember that they are opposition and not enemies. And for too long, the opposition in this chamber have been treated as nothing more than enemies. Until that view changes, regardless of how the vote ends up this afternoon, we will not make any further progress. So, disagreeing, this won't be personal, it's not aimed at any one person, disagreeing with what the ruling authority proposes doesn't make you diversive. Disagreeing with what the ruling authority proposes doesn't make you racist or misogynist. It means you disagree with what the ruling authority is is proposing. Until we change the way we do that, whoever ends up in here at the end of the afternoon, we will move no further forward. And in terms, and to speak very briefly to people who are sitting in this room now, are in a position which may never get in this position again. The opportunity to change the ruling authority in this council, the direction it takes. That is a decision for everybody, to a greater or lesser degree, depending on how big your grouping is and how strongly you are expected to follow your group's direction. But everybody has to make the decision, and it's never going to be an easy one. I can't remember who was mentioning that they knew Steve Bashforth for 20 years. Well, I've known Steve Bashforth for more than 20 years. We both worked together for ADT Fire and Security in Manchester. He was on fire, which we considered to be the dark side, and I was on security, which was the good guys. Not much has changed over that 20 or 30 years. He was still on the dark side, and I'm still a good guy. But I've known Steve for over 30 years, and the ruling principle of fire alarms, which he sold, is cause and effect. Every time something happens, it has an effect, and the two are joined together. It's the principle of designing a fire alarm system. And that is the decision that people need to make in this chamber this afternoon. Whatever you do will have a direct effect. There are no 10, 15, 20 vote barriers in here. Every person's individual vote, everybody's, whichever cause that they take will have an effect. And you will have to look at yourself for the next 2 years in the mirror every day and say, what I did this, am I comfortable with it? Yes or no? And that's a personal thing. So it's the only personal thing that I've said today. I've tried to stay away from personalities. And it'd be probably better if a few more people did as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Gafoor, you indicated you want to speak. Is it a point of personal explanation?
Right of reply to Councillor Hinds, if that's okay. Am I allowed to do that? You don't get right of reply yet, sorry. To tell him that he wanted a cabinet position with the Alliance. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that he texted me the other day and wanted one, and then he didn't get it? Can I not say that? All right, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Councillor Hinds.
I think we'll go very far if people start saying the text around.
I didn't realise. I'm so sorry.
Okay. I want to ask members, are they satisfied, and is there any other member who wants to speak? Are they satisfied they got enough information to make informed decisions before I...
Do I have a right to reply to that remark? No? Okay.
Well... You can make point of personal explanation because you've been personally...
Yes, point of personal explanation is I, more than anyone, initially tried to bring the independents together. I thought that was the best approach. I got people in a room. I was disappointed by the turnout. And what I suggested was to make it go, the coalition, independent coalition work, there had to be key positions for true independence. However, it seems that Councillor Gafoor and his alliance have admitted to implement that ethos. So there we go. Thanks for letting me clarify that.
Thank you. Councillor, if we don't have any other speakers, then I will go back to Councillor Quick for a right of reply.
Well, isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting? Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. We can hear the checks bouncing.
Sorry, apologies, Councillor Quick. Just 1 second. It's Councillor Taylor first.
Oh, Councillor Taylor, have you?
Ladies first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are some members in this chamber, including Councillor Quigg and Councillor Gafoor, with his game playing, who would have you believe that democracy is best served by backing 3 disparate groups who in reality have very little in common apart from their desire to run the council. The Liberal Democrats weren't the winners at the election. They also lost seats. They lost a seat, bringing their total number of councillors down to single figures. The Tory group, regardless of how it might sound from Councillor Quigg, didn't make any gains at the election. and it now appears that they're not able to convince their own leader to even move the amendment to this report. And the Oldham group, who didn't become a defined group until after the election was over in order to inflate their numbers. Not exactly the settled will. However, as we know from the conduct that we have witnessed during many council meetings, the show has become more important than the facts. As the largest party, the Labour group has 3 times more elected members than the official opposition, and more elected members than all of those 3 groups put together, which is why, as Democrats, we have sought to constructively engage, where possible, with other parties and groups to discuss our borough's future. With no single party having an overall majority, we know that we need to find new ways to work together for the benefits of our residents. Because what the election results actually show is that the people of Oldham want to see greater consensus in this chamber. They want to see an end to the toxic environment that has detracted from positive debate, and they want to see a return to policy, not personality politics. It has been sad to witness the partisan motivations of the chief negotiators from these 3 groups, who since the election have chosen to concentrate their time, energy and effort into carving up positions to try and win people over in this chamber, rather than letting people know what they really stand for and winning the people of this borough over. There is nothing progressive about greed or ambition. I'm not standing here before you to oppose this amendment just for party political reasons. I am standing here to present an honest challenge about the credibility and integrity of this council chamber going forward. Because the question is this: do you want to support the politics that are born out of a long political frustration to become leader of this council? Or do you want to embrace a more cooperative and honest way of working? Do you want to see decisions made by genuine consensus, or do you want to support the people who have brought this chamber into disrepute? Do you want to seize the opportunity to present genuine, strong challenge to a minority administration, or would you rather sign up to deals being brokered outside of this chamber that are not transparent or open to scrutiny? We acknowledge the need for change. But the leader of the Liberal Democrats, who claim to be the party of democracy, of fairness and of equity, want to secure power from a position of just 9 seats. And as we've all learned this week, they will do almost anything to achieve that aim. This is not democracy. This is not honest. This is not stable. And this is not good for the future of our town. Therefore, before voting on this amendment, I urge the genuine independent members of this chamber to think carefully about how best you can preserve your distinct identity. The electorate have put their faith in every individual member in this chamber to do the right thing and to do the responsible thing. And at the end of the day, that is how we will all be judged.
Thank you. Councillor Hambler, I'm really sorry, but as we move to the right of reply, I can't take you other than if it's personal explanation. Sorry. Councillor Quigg?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Now we've got the clarification. Well, Councillor Taylor, I will say, what the people of Oldham wanted to see was less Labour councillors. So let's get the facts on the record, shall we? Because there seems to be a lot less than they were at the last election. But of course, facts and reality are obviously 2 different things in this administration. So let's establish the facts. You've had 13 years to work cooperatively, and at every opportunity you've shut us out. You've locked us out. You've kept us out. Not just us, but everyone in this public gallery. In fact, we had the prison court-style Belfast perspex screens, no doubt ordered by yourself, Mr Catherall, in order to the order of public safety. But of course, that didn't stop people attending, because people could see that things were going wrong, things weren't going right, and democracy is under threat from this Labour Party. Nobody else in this chamber over the past 13 years has done more than they have to try and silence and control not just the people of Oldham, but the opposition. And I don't think that's healthy in democracy. But then, of course, the one-party state council hints is what you run in your town council, shutting out the opposition. And so perhaps once a red, always a red, perhaps cuts through deeper than most. But let's try and take it away from that and focus on what is on offer. Because everyone has been approached who wants to be approached. Everyone's been offered an opportunity to join an alliance. How independent councillors want to participate in that was entirely down to them. It was entirely down to them. Nobody was forced, nobody was glad-handed. Nobody, Councillor Taylor, was given anything of a bribe or greed nature, because let me tell you now, to suggest that is basically, I suggest you go to the police, because I think sometimes your words do run away with you. And well, I won't go there. No, let's stick to the facts. Let's stick to the facts. Multiple times we've faced in this chamber an opportunity to change things. We've tried to persuade the administration to address CSE for years. We've tried to address them to address the basics. Councillor Hurley, fellow Royton councillor, how many times have we asked for just basics to be done in Royton? Countless times, and nothing's done. When Labour lost most number of seats in Royton at the last election, we were shut out, we were kept out. And now, yet again, we're faced with the same glad-handing and back deals that went on. But suppose what that voice recording did do was expose the duplicity that goes on in the leader's office. Saying one thing to people's faces and another in the private chambers. Because if that recording was so damaging, well, say it in public. You know, what's coming out of that deal was what's going to end up coming out in the public anyway. So let's have that deal open. Let's be transparent. Let's know the facts. Because we've got nothing to hide. We've got nothing. Shush. Now, enough. I mean,
Councillor Quigg, you got a right to reply, but let's not do this interactive question answer session here.
I'll
Please
try,
continue.
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
Apologies. But what we have faced, and I will say this now, there's been perhaps an extra element added to these negotiations this time, and that's the officer party. Because it seems, Mr. Catherall...
Can I just interrupt you there as well? No, I'm aware that officers don't have a right to reply.
Well, I'm more than happy to give a right to reply
please, I think,
this.
no, sorry. I
I'm
cannot
more than
allow
happy
them
to.
to reply. Councillor Quigg, please.
Given that I was named in that recording, the Chief Executive was present, I am
Councillor
more than
Quigg,
happy
there is
for
a
him to have
process
right
you
to
can
reply.
follow. I'm not saying you should not follow it up. I'm just saying, probably sitting here, keep repeating the names, does not allow...
Well, I'm afraid that I've got very little confidence in the Chief Executive, given what was mentioned in that meeting.
You got the right to have that opinion, but not him.
And quite frankly, the people of this borough deserve that change. And part of that change is perhaps what should happen. And perhaps that change should come from the people in this chamber today. Because, let's face it, it's not down to just me, it's down to everyone here. Do you want change or not? Do you want to carry on? Yeah. Carry on. Do you want this same nonsense every council meeting? Because that's what you're going to get. You're going to be treated like mushrooms locked in the closet and told basically you don't need to know that, that's not for you to know. Because at the end of the day, it's down to everybody here what they want to do. If people want to sit on their hands, sit on their hands. But let's give the public a true opportunity to change things. Because if we don't, then we're just going to be here again, and we're going to be here again, and we're going to be here again doing the same thing. And that's the definition of madness. And if anything, if people want to complain about the alliance, they could have every opportunity to remove it. Because that's how democracy works. One man, one vote. But of course, with this, I don't know what is it with the Labour group and the Shore and Crompton Independents and whoever it may be. What do we call it? Do we call it the Axis? Do we call it the Coalition of Chaos? Do we call it the Comrades in Arms? I mean, we don't know. We don't know. But one thing...
get 6 minutes.
One thing is for certain, thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing is for certain as night follows day. Nothing will change if we don't change this administration. Nothing will change if we don't have a clear out. Nothing will change if we don't seize the opportunity to do so. And it's down to everyone here now. Do you really want to keep doing this? Or do you really want to seize the day, seize the opportunity, and say to the people who you were elected to represent that you did something of history, that you made a mark, because that is now down to you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Craig. Right, we will move towards the vote. Sorry, did someone say?
Mr. Mayor, can I request a recorded vote, please?
Yeah, I just need 5 members to agree to that. Okay. So it will be a recorded vote. So question is those in favour of amendment. Sorry, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can councillors please indicate very clearly whether you're for the amendment, against the amendment, or abstaining? Councillor Adams Christine? For. Councillor Akhtab Shoaib? Abstaining. Councillor Al Hamdani?
Please.
Councillor Al
No,
Hamdani?
please, sorry, just 1 second, please. Members should not be blackmailed. People are allowed to vote whichever way they want to do it. Please do not do this. They have the right to choose. Yes, and absolutely, public has the right to choose during, public has the right to choose their members, their councillors. They have done it, and they did it last year. I'm sure they will do it again. So please, let members to allow them to vote, and please keep the silence.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're up to Councillor Sam Al Hamdani.
Thank you. For.
Councillor Ali Mohan.
Against.
Councillor Ali Zahir.
For.
Councillor Arnott.
For.
Councillor Aslam. Councillor Azad. Councillor Ball.
For.
Councillor Bashforth.
Against.
Councillor Bishop.
For.
Councillor Brownridge. Councillor Byrne. Councillor Charters. Councillor Showan.
Against.
For.
Sorry, Chowan.
For.
Councillor Cosgrove. Councillor Davis.
Absolutely against.
Councillor Dean. Councillor Gafford.
For.
Councillor Goodwin. Councillor Hamlet.
For.
Councillor Harkness. Councillor Harrison. Councillor Hintz.
Against.
Councillor Hindle.
Abstain.
Councillor Horbin.
Abstain.
Councillor Hughes.
For.
Councillor Hurley.
For.
Councillor Hussain Aftab.
Against.
Councillor Hussain Feeder. Councillor Hussain Junaid. Councillor Hussain Sajid. Councillor Ibrahim. Councillor Iqbal.
Sorry.
Against. Sorry, we didn't hear that. Councillor Ibrahim. For. Councillor Iqbal.
Against.
Councillor Islam. Councillor Jabbar. Councillor Kenyon. Councillor Kuza.
For.
Councillor Lancaster. Councillor Malik. Councillor Marland. Councillor McLaren. Councillor Moores. Councillor Murphy.
For.
Councillor Mushtaq. Councillor Nasheen. Councillor Navesey. Councillor Quigg. Councillor Rustage. Councillor Shah.
Against.
Councillor Sharp. Councillor Sheldon. Councillor Shuttleworth.
Against.
Councillor Sykes. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Waheed. Councillor Wilkinson. Councillor Williamson. Councillor Woodvine.
For.
And yourself, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Shuan.
Sorry, against. I was half late. I'm sure it took us longer to count than you guys, but anyway. I have for Amendment 28, against 29, abstention 3. So amendment is lost. I'm asking the Council to agree to note the position as original report. Agreed? Okay. Move on the Council. A call on the Leader of the Council. A call on the Council. A call on the Leader of the Council to appoint a statutory deputy leader, advise the Council on the number of cabinet members, deputy cabinet member, and agree their portfolio as circulated. Sorry, do you want to speak first?
Yeah, that's okay. Ooh. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm proud and grateful to stand here before this council today as leader of the council. I am proud and grateful that the residents and electorate of Oldham, my hometown, have extended their continued trust and support for Labour to represent them as the largest party on this council. While we were disappointed not to maintain a majority, this is a democracy and the people spoke. We do, however, by far still hold the largest number of seats.
Please, can we stop this, please? It's not helpful, please. Please, can we stop this?
While we were disappointed not to maintain a majority, this is a democracy.
Can you just hold on, people
This
are
is a
leaving.
democracy and the people spoke. We do, however, by far still hold the largest number of seats. The largest number of seats. The largest number of seats. We still hold the largest number of seats. 3 times more than the Liberal Democrats or the Conservatives. I am also proud and grateful that my friends and colleagues in this chamber have once again placed their trust in me to deliver change through our ambitious plan to lead the town forward. And I am proud that this plan has the power to reset Oldham Council, not just what we do, but how we will all do it too. I am proud that our plans will seek greater cooperation, foster a shared progressive attitude, and deliver a laser-like focus on securing better outcomes for Oldham's residents. Things will have to change, though. Things will have to be done differently. After what seems like years of bickering and squabbling, consensus will now be the new watchword for Oldham Council. In leading a minority administration to deliver that plan, I recognise we will have to work differently. So will my cabinet colleagues. In fact, every elected member in this chamber will. We will have to listen more, seek out opportunities to support and deliver meaningful change, and we will have to renew our efforts to reach out to all Oldhamers. It will require councillors, officers and partners to step up and be open to new ideas. It is time for grown-up politics rather than petty party point scoring. Make no mistake, this is what the people of Oldham want. In fact, let's be blunt. The recent politics, some of what has been displayed today in this place, are toxic. I do not think anyone in this chamber could disagree with that view. So it is now incumbent on every one of us here today to make this change. I pledge today that this will be our sole focus. A Labour-led council working cooperatively and collaboratively to deliver for Oldham. Oldham Group are ready for this, but are others, Mr. Mayor? The game playing, the name calling, the jockeying for position and the deceit shown since the election has been frankly appalling. It must stop, and it does not reflect well on our borough. I'm grateful that some in this chamber have recognised this opportunity and have agreed as much as possible to work together to deliver meaningful change. But I do have to add, Mr. Mayor, that those individuals have made it very clear that the cooperation for the good of the borough does not mean a lack of them holding this administration to account or a lack of challenge when they feel that we've got things wrong. And that is only right and that is only proper. But I would call that brave politics. It's pragmatic and it's serious. And it sends a clear message to the residents of Oldham that we are serious about helping people improve their lives. But I'm equally saddened that some haven't, won't, or can't move on from the divisive strain of politics the town has had to endure for too long. I hope they can put their shortcomings behind them. It's time for them to move on. While a general election is hopefully around the corner, we are now 2 years away from the next set of local elections, and that is plenty of time to get things done to focus on delivering for the borough. Nobody wants the council to waste those 24 months bickering, posturing, and playing politics with people's lives. And despite the progress we have started to make, we know we still have many serious challenges to address and overcome, and that begins and starts with our pride in Oldham. For too long, too many people have been talking this town down, looking for the negative in every single story, pitting one community against another, or rubbishing not just our environment, but the communities that we so proudly live in and work in. Sadly, this chamber has too often enabled and echoed those negative and entrenched views. So I want to share my pride in Oldham, Greater Manchester's most exciting borough. It starts with acknowledging the good work which is already underway to rejuvenate our town centres and high streets, build new homes, and improve work and training opportunities for our children and for our young people. We should be proud of efforts to provide our youngest residents with the best possible start in life. This year, we opened 7 family hubs in the heart of our communities, and we also added more choice and new opportunities for Oldham students by securing the support of Eton College and Star Academies to build a new base in the town centre, unleashing the potential for all of our children. Oldham, Mr Mayor, is one borough, but it has many towns. And while residents have pride in the borough, we must also respect and recognise their pride in our individual towns and our individual villages. This year, working with partners, we have secured vital funding to enable major regeneration projects in our town centres and high streets. In the coming year, we will secure additional investment for individual towns and villages, making sure every part of this borough has visible improvements, whether that's new parks and play areas, improved green space, or large-scale, life-changing regeneration projects. We will also work with local groups and representatives to empower residents to design their own plans for their local areas to give them a greater say on the future of their neighbourhoods, ensuring that the right services are available for all. And that pride that local people have in their local areas also means that we need to continue our work to improve the cleanliness and safety of our neighbourhoods. We will build on the work of our fantastic Don't Trash Oldham programme and establish an environment enforcement team to contribute to make sure those who blight our borough are held to task. We listened to what residents told us whilst out campaigning, and we will widen the scope of Don't Trash Oldham to cover gully cleaning, road repairs, street lighting, and improving the public realm as much as possible. Alongside the focus on getting the basics right, we also want to reflect the deep sense of pride that residents have in the history and the culture of our borough. This year, we have rejuvenated the old library building on Union Street and secured a leading hospitality provider to open a new food court and market in this historic Egyptian rooms. And looking forward in the next few weeks, we will bring forward our plan to retain the Fairbottom Street Theatre as a home for Oldham Coliseum, both now and in the future. This has been a long and complicated process over the last year, and I want to formally place on record my thanks to Julie Hesmondash, Ian Kershaw, Jane Barker, and the rest of the Save the Oldham Coliseum group for their determination and for sticking with us whilst we work through and resolve this. I'd also like to thank Jim McMahon MP and Andy Burnham, our Mayor for Greater Manchester, for their unwavering support in making sure that this does go ahead. And finally, we share our residents' concern for those in our community affected by crime, affected by abuse, and who need our support and who need our protection. Last year, we worked directly with survivors of child sexual exploitation to support a new commitment for how the Council and other organisations will work with them, how they will support them, and how they will help them to seek justice. In the coming year, we have set a commitment to look again at what more we can do to seek answers for those affected by historic child sexual exploitation in this borough. I have asked that this work be led by Councillor Hinds, who will work with survivors to determine how best to do that. Today, I'm hoping he will accept, but I'd also like to extend that offer to Councillor Holbein too. These two councillors were the only councillors that consistently fought on behalf of those affected, both in this chamber, both outside of this chamber, and it's right that they bring forward a plan of what we can do next to restore that confidence. It's time that we provided a true voice to those survivors in a way that removes the politics from the issue so that we can focus on those that are most important. We have so much, Mr. Mayor, to be proud of, and we have so much to look forward to, but we still face incredibly tough decisions. We must balance the books, protect the services our residents want, need and rely on, and continue boosting the one thing everyone in this chamber shares, and that's our pride in Oldham. No one wants the council to waste the next 24 months bickering, posturing and playing politics with people's lives. We have many serious challenges to address and overcome. And to deliver these pledges, my cabinet and our portfolios will reflect these priorities, focusing on the things that matter to people. I will also welcome additional voices into my leadership team in recognition of the points that Councillor Hints made earlier about the true independents having a voice and a mandate, and for greater consensus. I'm pleased to welcome Councillor Hints as Chair of Planning and District Lead for the North District, and Councillor Navesey as a Deputy Cabinet Member in the vital area of children's safeguarding. You will also see other roles being offered to individuals from other parties in order to broaden the voices helping to shape council policy. And I hope that these roles are accepted in the spirit in which they are offered, and that's a spirit of cooperation. Unfortunately, in recent times, the politics of this place haven't reflected those values, and the aspirations held dearly by the decent and good people of Oldham have been left unmet. I hope we can move forward, that we can draw a line under the nasty politics of the past, and for Oldham's sake, please let this be a turning point. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Shah. Do you want to... I have to formally move the report. It's been noted already. Yeah, okay. Okay, so... So I call on the leader to appoint a statutory deputy leader, advise the council on the number of cabinet members, deputy cabinet members, and agree their portfolio as circulated. Does the council note the appointments?
I note the appointments, but Councillor Lane Taylor will be the statutory deputy leader.
Thank you. All right. That's the difficult bit starts. I have been notified that there is more than one nomination to... sorry. Does council note the appointment of the opposition leader and shadow cabinet? I suspect that after Labour 27 is Lib Dem 9, so you will be opposition leader. So is there any report needs to be circulated, or can it be done later on? Yeah, no. No, sorry, I just want to say, is that acceptable to the council, the opposition leader? Is that agreed? Okay. I don't need to agree, actually, just need to note apology. I'm losing my mind. Call on the leader of the council to move and leader of the opposition to second the appointment of committees as set out in the report as circulated, with addition to Councillor Shuttleworth and Councillor Sinead Hussain as appeal committee. Is that right? Yeah. So you will have to move.
You need to officially move it. Sorry, yes, Mr. Mayor. Yes, moved.
Second, Mr. Mayor, with those changes. Do you need me to confirm that Councillor Junaid Hussain has been removed from Planning Committee? Thank you.
Who's going to replace, sorry?
No, sorry, we put down one too many, which is why we're removing him. So there's not a replacement.
No, we didn't. We didn't. We didn't put one down.
We did. We did. No, we did. We did. Because Hints did. Hints is not chair.
Oh, is that because Councillor Hints is chair? Yes. Yeah.
Well, could I suggest that maybe we could delegate it to the leader of leader and opposition leader to maybe sort of, no? No, it needs to be sorted. It needs to be sorted. No, sorry, I've been told.
So do we need to formally move this, or can I just inform you that it was an oversight at the point that we submitted our committee preferences? We put one person down too many, and we are confirming that Councillor Junaid Hussain is to be removed from Planning Committee.
It needs to be replaced. No?
He doesn't need to be replaced. Sorry, we
I thought... For Councillor Taylor, I think you were saying that it's going to be Councillor Hinds who's going to be the appointment instead of Councillor J. Hussain. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Is that agreed? Okay, so we have multiple nominations on chair to be voted upon. I think I will go through one by one. So, sorry, are we still on the committees?
Yes.
Apologies. Do you want, is that okay if Paul explains you through the committees what we're seeing?
Okay, so therefore there's multiple nominations that have come forward, have been presented for various committees of the council, which, of course, if those nominations are to continue, will need to be voted upon. So, as regards licensing committee, the nominations that have been received are for chair, effectively Councillor Hussain, effectively Councillor S. Hussain and Councillor Kuzal. So, therefore, there's a vote that takes place as regards the chair of that committee.
So, the first committee, yes, licensing. So the first vote is on licensing, so we need to vote it through today. Yes. Okay. So the nominations, Councillor.
Just point of order. So on the planning committee, it says Councillor Lancaster or Councillor Hinds. So are we voting on that, or are we now assuming that it's now going to be Councillor Hinds as the chair of planning? Because there's two bits.
It's already been. You left
right.
the room.
There's two bits to it. That's all.
No. Sorry, it's the membership we talked about. Chair's yet to come. So can I just go through this because we've got a lot to go through, and I'm sure you want to do other things as well today. So the first one is licensing. We have nominations, Councillor Kosa and as a chair, and Councillor Sajjad Hussain from the Labour, and Councillor Kosa for independent. So can I have the hands all in the favour of Councillor Junaid Hussain? Sorry, Saj Hussain. Okay. And we need to count the votes. Keep your hand up if you can. If you can't, just stand up. Sorry, honestly, I was not looking at you. That's a jet now. $29. Any against? Against? Apologies. It's time to go home. It's not against. You can put your hand down. Let me explain again. It's for Councillor Kosar. Anyone who is in favor of Councillor Kosar, please. $23. So Councillor Saj Hussain is the chair of licensing. Sorry? 23. 29.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. And we got only one vice chair name for licensing, Councillor Byrne, and there's no other nomination, so that naturally goes through then, or do we need to vote? Yeah? Okay. Plan, is that agreed? I will be surprised if anyone doesn't agree with that name, but anyway. So, planning, I got Councillor Lancaster, Councillor Haynes. So, all those in favour of Councillor?
Sorry, just as a point of, sorry, if I'm not following this, apologies. So Junaid Hussain's been removed. That's a different Hussain.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the political balance says 6 Labour members, and we currently have 5. Unless Councillor Hinds is a Labour member, and I don't think he is.
No, not yet. For what was agreed at the previous resolution, just a few minutes ago, it was moved and seconded that effectively Councillor Hinds would take the 6th seat instead of Councillor Hussain.
Okay, so right.
Okay, we'll move on to planning. Councillor, all those in favour of Councillor Lancaster? Can we quote them, please? Count them again. Quote them. Sorry, what? 22. All those in favour of Councillor Haynes? $29 again. Okay, and for Vice Chair, we got Councillor Harkness. Is that agreed? Children and Young People, I got Councillor Hoban as a Chair and Vice Chair. Councillor Adams, is that agreed? Okay. You can move people from the floor, I think, as well. Sorry, I'm joking. I'm joking. Adult Social Care and Health. Councillor Moores as a Chair and Councillor Hamlet as a Vice Chair. Is that agreed? Okay. Place, Economic Growth and Environment, Junaid Hussain as a Chair. Agreed? Okay. Governance, Strategy and Resources, Councillor McLaren. I don't have anyone's name against employment. Do I need to have? No? Okay. Commons, Registration, Councillor Lancaster. Agreed? Okay. Charitable Trust Committee, Councillor Byrne. Agreed? Standards, I got vote on standards, so I got Councillor Adams, all of those, and Councillor Harrison. So I'm going to first take a vote on Councillor Adams. All of those in favour of Councillor Adams? Okay, 22. Okay, and I got Councillor Holly Harrison. All those in favour of Councillor Harrison? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any abstentions? No. Okay. So Councillor Harrison is Chair of Standards. Yes, Sykes. It's all right. We can correct it if that's okay. Yeah, agreed. Thank you. Okay. Right. So I've been notified there is a. Am I right place now? No.
You just need to refer to the chair of the TRO panel.
We've not done that. So Chair of TRO panel, Councillor Murphy. Do we agree? Yeah. Okay. That's great. So there is more than one nomination to district leaders appointment. A vote will be taken where more than one nomination has been received. So I'll start with North District nominations. So I got Councillor Williamson and Councillor Haynes. So all those in the favour of Councillor Williamson? And all those in favour of Councillor Haynes? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any abstentions? Okay. So Councillor Haynes is the lead for the North District. East District nomination, I got Councillor Cosgrove and Councillor Byrne.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I think you've missed out the central lead, which came before North.
Well, it will come later on. Please have a patience and faith. North District nominations, Councillor, only I'm allowed to joke. Councillor Craig, no one else. Councillor Williamson and Councillor, sorry, we done that. Councillor East District nomination, got Councillor Cosgrove and Councillor Byrne. So all those in favour of Councillor Cosgrove? And we counted, yeah? Yeah. All those in favor of Councillor Byrne? So Councillor Cosgrove is the lead. I do have no nominations for deputy received. South District, there is... Oh, sorry. Oh, wow. We might have different pages, you know. Is there any other nomination apart from Councillor Bishop?
This is for what? For
Bishop. Okay, Deputy Councillor Bishop. Thank you. Agreed? If you keep helping me, Councillor Hamdani, we'll get through it. South District, those in favor of Councillor Hinder? Those in favor of Councillor Hindle, South District? That's the only nomination. Yeah. I still want to know. They might reject him as well, so who knows? Okay. West District, Councillor Shuttleworth, agreed? Okay. Central District, Councillor Shah. Must be your favorite district. Those in favor of Councillor, sorry, got two nomination, Councillor Zahir Ali and Councillor Malik. So all those in favor of Councillor Zahir Ali? All those in favor of Councillor Malik? Okay. So do I have nomination for the deputy position in North District, which is Councillor Adams? Is that agreed? Okay. Do I have a nomination for the deputy lead in East District? No, sorry, we've done Councillor Bishop. Is that agreed already? Does Councillor agree the report as circulated? Okay. Outside bodies appointments. I call on leader of the council to move and the leader of opposition to second the appointments to outside bodies as set out in the report circulated. 1 second.
Yeah,
that's what I said, delegating.
Explain what the position is.
All right, can we just explain the position?
So the position with outside bodies, of course, in advance of the meeting, was that there was submission of nominations for both the places as regards the Labour nominations and the Lib Dem Coalition Alliance effectively nominations. Now, further to discussions that took place this morning, clearly we could go through each of the appointments one by one and appoint, but I think that Councillor Sykes indicated that if the position was that Councillor Shah stayed as council leader, then the nominations, the effectively ruling administration nominations that have been submitted by the Lib Dem Alliance would be withdrawn. So I just want to confirm that that's the position before we go further into one by one votes.
Administration places are withdrawn, which then should allow us to then tidy it up. But obviously, anywhere there's an opposition place, the nomination or one of the nominations will stand. And I'm quite happy to say some of this, you know, with a great will in the world.
So may I suggest that if we delegate it to the leader and opposition leader to work together?
Yeah, or if somebody produces a list, and then there might be 2 or 3 we need to have a conversation about, would be as helpful as I can.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Does Council agree the meetings of the Council in 2024-25 municipal year will be held on the dates shown as printed on the summons and approve the calendar of the meeting as circulated? Does the Council, no, don't rush yet. Does the Council recommend that approval of any outstanding dates or changes of dates be delegated to the Chief Executive in consultation with the leader of the Council and the leader of the man opposition group, and the dates agreed today can only be changed in exceptional circumstances and only after following the agreed process? No, you can agree or disagree. Do you agree? Come on.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, yes.
That's all right. Item 15, Council Constitution. I call on the Leader of the Council to move and Leader of Opposition to second the report.
Move, Mr. Mayor.
Is that agreed, or do you need to agree? Is that agreed?
We need to get the...
Yeah. Does Council agree the recommendation in the report and paragraph 1 of the report reaffirm the Constitution and agree that any consequential amendments arising from any decisions are delegated to the Director of Legal Services to incorporate into the Constitution? Those in favor? Oh, you need to raise hands. Sorry, guys. I know you're tired. So are we agreeing? Sorry, are we agreeing, or all those in the favor? I'm still on item 15. Yeah, okay. Those against? Okay. And any abstentions? Okay. Item 16, notice of administration business, none received. Item 17, motion of opposition business, none received. Before I conclude the business today, can I request you to join me on Merrill Sunday in Oldham Parish Church on Sunday, 10:30? I'm sure you all will be there like you all are here today. But also, audience, I know 99% of them left, but anyone who wishes to join us in the parlor, please feel free. Thank you very much. That concludes the business.